Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're calling from. My name is Ben Mahesson, and I'm the BJ Membership and Account Manager at BJ, and I'll be today's host. Welcome to the third installment of the African and Middle Eastern Capacity Building Workshop, where speakers will delve into their personal experiences in different topics, and where the topic is we address the needs of the region of Africa and the Middle East. In this workshop, speakers will delve into the professional experiences in promoting entrepreneurship practices in their business schools, as well as demonstrating how a business school can successfully implement initiatives to encourage entrepreneurship amongst their students and graduates. I'm absolutely thrilled today to be joined by Mark Peters from University of Free State, South Africa, Emmanuel Okoye from UNIZIK Business School in Nigeria, Boumediene Ramdani from Qatar University in Qatar, and Mohammed Roomi from MBSC Business Entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia. Shortly, I will be handing over to Emmanuel Okoye to begin the presentation. And just a quick bit of housekeeping. What will happen is each of the speakers will do 20 minutes of presentation. And once all speakers have done their presentation, we will then move to about 20 to 30 minutes Q&A at the end. In the meantime, feel free to put any of your questions or comments in the Q&A box, and I will monitor this. And at the end, I will ask these questions to the panel. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. So now I'm going to hand over to Emmanuel Okoye from UNIZIK Business School in Nigeria. Emmanuel, the floor is now yours. You can begin your presentation.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, panelists. Good to see you. Like Ben said, my name is Emmanuel Okoye from UNIZIK Business School in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Nigeria. And the UNIZIK Business School is situated in southeast of Nigeria. And what we are going to share with you is what is obtainable in the southeast of Nigeria, how business schools can successfully promote entrepreneurship and innovation to students in the region. And the UBS initiative is what we are going to share with you. That's UNIZIK Business School. All the efforts we've made in the past to ensure that entrepreneurship thrives in the southeast of Nigeria. We know that entrepreneurship is an age-old phenomenon that characterizes the Igbo cosmology of Southeast Nigeria. More than 90% of the people dwelling in the Southeast Nigeria are Igbos, especially in the 5 states of the Southeast. There are some other states where you can find the Igbos, and they are entrepreneurs by nature. And the issue of entrepreneurship has been there in Igbo land, you know, and they've been doing all kinds of things in order to ensure that they bring up the younger ones that will take over from them. They breed young entrepreneurs using their own system of entrepreneurship. And in Igbo land, there's what we call Mwaboy, you know, that is apprenticeship. And you have apprentices, as it were, those that are tutored under their masters. They have masters, you know, that tutor them, you know, depending on their choice of trade. They will be tutored, and the masters will bring them up. They may spend years with the masters. They may spend 4, 5, 6 years, depending on the agreements. At the end of the whole thing, the masters will now settle them. And at times, their parents will also ask something, and they will start up immediately. So that is the kind of thing that is obtainable in the Southeast. And that is why you have so many entrepreneurs in the Southeast of Nigeria. And of course, you have so many millionaires and billionaires. You have many billionaires in the southeast of Nigeria because of this kind of entrepreneurship we are talking about. You know, they try to extend it to their family members, their relatives, you know, they bring them up, and they make sure you are doing something. They encourage you to work hard, not to depend on any man. You have the capacity to develop yourself. You have the capacity to work hard. Those who are ahead of you, who are referred to as masters, will now ensure that you are brought up so that you'll be able to, you know, earn for yourself and also help your family members to become whatever they want to be. So these are the kind of things that were obtainable in Igbo land, right before the colonialism, as it were, before the colonial masters came on board. It has been like that. Igbos are known for that. But it came to a point that because of civilization and other things, and the young people are finding it difficult, you know, to key into that kind of apprenticeship, especially the introduction of oil when there was oil boom in Nigeria, crude oil, you know. So many of them felt that it would be easier for them to make money through the crude oil, and the one boy syndrome started dropping. People are no more showing interest in that because you have to labor, you have to work hard, you have to serve under somebody for years before you start up your own. And they felt that, well, with oil boom, crude oil boom, you know, they could make money in months, in weeks, as the case may be. So there was a paradigm shift, okay, towards the oil. But before then, in Igbo land, for instance, in the southeast of Nigeria, it was recorded that about 70% of the oil produce came from that side because of this entrepreneurship, you know, that was then. People were working hard, they had, you know, people are doing all kinds of things. But at a point, it started dwindling, started dropping, and the UNIZIK Business School now felt that something has to be done in order to reactivate, to re-engineer, re-engineer the one boy, you know, entrepreneurship. So into a modern attractiveness. So we had to work towards that to ensure that you know, the right thing is done. So in this regard, critical analytical approach, as well as empirical evidences, including relevant literature, were extensively used to explicate and yet extrapolate such unique characteristics and challenges facing the age-old scheme so that it is better appreciated and placed on a pedestal that will make its negative tendencies that seem to obfuscate its relevance go to no issue. So a mixed method research approach involving both qualitative and quantitative approaches was adopted in the study. For the quantitative methods, the study adopted a survey research design, and judgmental sampling was used to select 5 markets in the Onitsha metropolis in the order of time of the creation of the markets from 4 local government areas. The markets covered were main markets or changer markets, bridgehead markets, spare parts markets, and building materials markets, Ogidi, Obunike. So all those markets were covered, and then a reciting comprising the principal investigator and the co-principal investigators, research assistants, and the interviewers for $1,201 for the Ndi Oga, that is the masters, and then Ndi Madam, that's women, female masters, and then of course the other for Umuwa boy, that's the apprentice. You know, so for the apprentice we have 1,000, and then for the the boys, we have, so for the masters, we have 1,201. So we try to do that. Then 2 sets of questionnaire were designed, one for the apprentice and one for the masters. Then we have, we use open data kits, the ODK, soft copies of questionnaire were also distributed through 50 research assistants pre-trained on the use of ODK. So when we are done with all those, we use systematic proposal sampling and snowball techniques where we are used to select study sites and the participants with in-depth study. So when we are done with that, markets with their they include experienced retired traders, owners of industries, and business owners. That's the organs, the masters, the market union leaders. The focus group discussion was also concluded with 68 males and 12 females selected from there. Then for the analysis of data, we use quantitative methods of descriptive and inferential statistics. Also we use K-square and so on. And from the findings of the UBS research team, relying on the trip helix model, Eba boy, that's apprenticeship, could well be transformed into a very attractive model called apprenticepreneurship. Apprenticepreneurship, it translated into Igbo language as Nkwado Ogaranya. That is to say, preparing somebody from becoming a great entrepreneur, a multi-billionaire, which can become a business model, otherwise known as Igbo Entrepreneurial Incubation Scheme. Benefits of the apprenticepreneurship scheme, among the several merits of this model, is the involvement of the government by way of providing grants to participants of apprenticepreneurship. It will also reduce defaulting in the settlement of the apprentices by their masters, which now seem to be on the increase and serves as a disincentive, as it were. Recall I said when we started that after serving for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on the agreement, the master against the apprentice and may not settle the person, and the person will be frustrated. But one of the things we have achieved in UBS is the issue of attracting government to provide grants to the young people after the training, after the training by the organs, by their masters, the apprentices will now be given grants by government to start up, at least for a while. So government is now part of the business because they have seen in it. And recently, UBS, had to train people that will train the trainees, as it were, because we are now partnering with the government. We are partnering with government to train about 4,000 young people, as entrepreneurs in different fields of their choice. So we call it One Youth, Two Skills entrepreneurship scheme. This is essentially based on our track record in the area of entrepreneurship education and innovation, for which we have been designated as Entrepreneurship Development Institute, in the Nigerian Southeast state of Anambra. So we try to, train some people. The One Youth, Two Skill entrepreneurship scheme is a large-scale, ambitious youth entrepreneurship skill acquisition and empowerment program of Anambra State government of Southeast Nigeria, and the governor, Professor Charles every year with the duration of his stay in office, because he has to be in office for first 4 years. If he wins again, another 4 years. So his plan is that we will help him raise 1,000 entrepreneurs every year, and that's what we are working towards. And each entrepreneur must must acquire two skills, and we on it. We have trained the trainers. They've now go to different localities to train others, and at the end of it, at the first 4 years, we'll be able to we'll be able to raise not less than 4,000 entrepreneurs, young people, youths, not just elderly people. And those are the things we are hoping to achieve. And after the, in addition to training their chosen skills, participants in one youth, two skills also go through entrepreneurial training that equips them with the knowledge and tools necessary for them to start or expand their businesses sustainably so that they can contribute to the economic development of the state in the near future. So these are the things we are pursuing, and we are hoping that we'll get there. So many people are showing interest, and government is prepared. In fact, government has mapped out not less than 1 billion naira, for that project, which of course, if properly implemented, and those first 4,000 want to train, and then after that, about 80,000 will be trained. By the time we finish training them, and they also will help to train others, there will be a multiplier effect. At the end of it, you discover that about hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs will be raised. And most of them, more than 90-something% of them, will be young people, youth, and those are the things we've done among so many others we are doing in order to help the young people to become what God wants them to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that fantastic presentation. We shall now be moving on to Mark Peters from University of Free State, South Africa. Mark, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ben. Let me just... Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Peters. Thank you, Emmanuel, for that presentation. I'm at the southern end of the continent from my colleagues in Nigeria. It's wonderful to be with you all. I wanted to show you an example of research that we are working with our entrepreneurship students. Similar to my colleagues in Nigeria, we have a very large unemployment problem of approximately 36% of adults and a 46% of people under 25 are unemployed. We also have a challenge that says 25% of young graduates who left university in the last 5 years are still unemployed in South Africa. So what we're doing is similar to Nigeria. We have a very, very strong focus on developing entrepreneurs, both with university projects and with people outside of the university. And what I wanted to show you very quickly was a piece of research that we undertook with medium-sized companies, so formal businesses, post the COVID pandemic. What were successful SMEs doing to get themselves going again post the pandemic? This research was conducted among 77 organizations, and what you're about to see is the 8 strategies that successful companies have followed post the pandemic, and I hope that you enjoy that And in the 20 minutes or 18 minutes I have available, if there are any questions, please feel free to look at them later on. So what are high-performing businesses, entrepreneurial businesses doing with each other? Firstly, they're seeking a broader and deeper view of the market and what's happening. We can see from Europe, in your area of operation, some very, very turbulent times among the banks, for instance. We see the need for them to be more, companies to be more innovative, to respond quicker. They need to look longer term, although the longer term framework has changed. And I don't know if you are seeing that in your environment, where in the past we looked at long term typically being 5 to 10 years. We've now reduced that quite dramatically to about 3 years. That the companies are involving all stakeholders. We're seeing that particularly among high-tech organizations, lots of entrepreneurs in that space, of course, but that they need to involve all stakeholders, customers, suppliers, funders, and their strategy needs to be fit for the environment. And I don't mean the ozone layer, I mean the environment of, do we have the right resources in the right place? I'll talk about that in a moment. And are we doing the right activities? One of the dangers with small and medium enterprises is that they chase customers all the time, and often they're not true to their own strategy as a result. We need to broaden our understanding of risk and need to speed up decision-making and executing these decisions. This is a challenge, of course, that the universities online today will know often can be quite debilitating. So that's what high performance companies are doing a bit differently. And here, as I say, please, we can chat later on. We don't have time for passengers, and it's something that we need to think about a lot. And as we close today's presentation, I want to talk to you about monitoring and evaluation and adding the concept of accountability and learning. Have we learned from what's happening? And this speaks directly to a university and business school environment. But we need to improve staff productivity. There needs to be a trade-off. Emmanuel will be aware that certainly on the African continent, we have many, many countries where productivity is extremely low. And as a result, that does impact negatively your competitive advantage. Develop a new collaborative process with our partners, not necessarily having all the resources in-house, but to be able to call on them. And this was a quote directly from the research. Have we got the right people on the right bus, in the right seat, facing the right direction? We really enjoyed that one. And now is the time, colleagues, to get rid of passengers in our organization. I know that might seem to be quite cold and calculating, but we can't afford the passengers. Point number 2 of 8 points, we need to optimize market reach. And of course, this speaks directly to universities that have a strong strategic market focus and want to develop their own programs. Emmanuel spoke of that, and I know my 2 colleagues, Mohammed and Ben, coming after me, will also talk about the concept of this. But looking at entering new markets with new products, seek alternative distribution strategies, and most importantly, look for new and existing technologies to assist us. And this new technology, of course, has been a huge support for small business. This might seem like an obvious one, but it was interesting to see how many organizations, both during the pandemic and post the pandemic, had done really no work on their business model. And we're saying to entrepreneurs, please don't wait, review your business model, reevaluate it, look and see what did we learn. We don't want any surprises. Challenge your strategy more regularly. Don't wait till the end of the year to do that. Be able to respond quickly. And for those strategy people in the audience today, the next point will not be a surprise. You've got to refocus on your core competence. In 1982, Tom Peters and Roger Waterman, in their book, In Search of Excellence, said, stick to your knitting. And this, I suppose, is the 21st century version of that. Focus on your core competence. What are you really good at? And stay focused on that. Try not to be distracted as entrepreneurs with things that are happening in our broader environment. I mentioned this at the start of my presentation. Accelerate your decision-making and execution. This is a weakness for many, many business during the pandemic. It was a wait and see. You know, we're not sure what's going to happen. We don't know what the future is going to look at. But strengthen your understanding of strategy, revisit your structure. Certainly in South Africa, we have a real problem with the levels of an organizational structure. The average corporate organization, and not small business, has 14 levels. And best practice would say, as a small and medium enterprise, we need to reduce that to about 5. And as you'll see on the right-hand side of my slide, that's very difficult to influence, colleagues. Very difficult to influence some of these things. But if we don't do it, we tend to be doing the same thing and not learning from our mistakes or our challenges of the past. Listen to our customers. It was amazing in the research how few of the 77 companies actually did any research during this period to know what the customers were looking for. And, you know, listening to your customer, since 1960, we spoke about marketing myopia and putting your customers at the center of your strategy. But in many organizations, we're not doing that. And of course, a comment from the research, we already know this stuff. We already know that this is what we should be doing, but it was interesting how few organizations had done it. This speaks to our human resource colleagues in the class, in the webinar today. And it also speaks, Emmanuel, to your comment about developing young people in Nigeria. So this comment, although listed as the 5th one, in my opinion, would probably be number 1 or number 2 in my list. But we need to increase the diversity in our management teams. What do we mean by diversity? Obviously, age, race, sex, religion, maybe. That seems quite obvious, you know, to get a broader view. But in this case, increasingly, we needed to bring younger people into our management team who understood the technology. The other weakness, which was unexpected, was the need to bring legal people into our management team, not just to have a lawyer on speed dial for contracts, but to have those as part of our management team. Hire strategically to fill the gaps, but to do it quickly. We're still seeing it taking a long time, up to 6 months, even in a medium-sized business, to appoint a key hire in the business. And we need to shorten that. The one example I could mention to you was for a business distributing Gillette products, the men's and ladies' grooming products, shaving products. They took 6 months to appoint a sales director and lost 27% of the revenue in that year. Hire for attitude, that was a bit of an unknown for us, but that came out, especially for young people, hiring people with a good attitude, a can-do attitude, rather than somebody on the face of it who had the right qualifications. We did experience in the research that the cost of hiring people had dropped dramatically due to technology, and younger people were taking lower salaries to get an opportunity, for example, in a call center type situation. And again, and this came out in a second way, get rid of the dead wood in your organization immediately or as quick as you can. And if the previous comments were difficult to influence, we have power over this and we can influence it. This speaks to the finance guys in our webinar today. And again, there was a bit of an aha moment here where waiting for monthly and quarterly budgets and cash flow was deemed to be a very silly thing to do. We needed to do it more often in a small business. And I think inherently smaller businesses do that. I run a small consultancy business in Johannesburg, and certainly one of the things that I found myself doing is to look at cash flow on a more regular basis. But very quickly, guys, do zero budgeting. A little bit of a surprise there. That's a lot of work. Cash flow is king. Do more regular reporting. Some companies, smaller businesses, were reporting to shareholders every 2 weeks rather than every month or every 3 months. One that was a bit of a surprise was to reduce the gap between the budget and the actual results, especially where small and medium enterprises were not hitting their monthly targets or quarterly targets. And linked to cash flow is king. Improve the liquidity continually in your business. Simple one, guys, but one that we found most of the companies had not done as a result of COVID. Revisit risk management, especially aspects around insurance and third-party risks in your business. In fact, we found that several small businesses, we had one business making alcohol for the low end of the market, had cancelled their insurance to improve liquidity, and then they had a fire and put the business out of business, which was quite sad to hear. Last one, and one that for me as a strategy faculty member is one that I learned a lot from. Strengthen your stakeholder confidence. Now, stakeholders could be your employees, your customers, suppliers, competitors, if relevant, and any representative bodies such as your trade unions. The one that didn't come out, which was a surprise to me, was your bank. And there was a great reluctance from South African entrepreneurs to tell their banks anything. And that may be the same in your country. The problem is if you don't keep your bank up to date and now you need them, they tend to take the umbrella away as soon as it starts to rain in your business. So understanding who your stakeholders are and to improve transparency was one of the findings. So colleagues, they were the 8 findings that we had. Happy to discuss any of those. But just to draw some conclusions that I thought was a nice way to spend the last couple of minutes with you. Effective management teams are clearly balancing complementary and competing goals. So there's quite a lot of conflict, and the conflict really arises out of spending money to get new customers, sales teams, marketing teams, and your finance team trying to reduce expenditure, for example. There's no argument that the challenge is quite complex. Resources are constrained and limited. Make sure you have the right resources that you're paying for, and focus is required. There was a need for action, not doing the same thing as we'd done before. There was no silver bullet. So even the companies doing all 8 of these things well, it was no guarantee of success, but did improve the chances of success. So more recently, we've been calling this particular piece of research the critical success factors. But when we chatted with Ben originally, we spoke about strategy in turbulent time. Have a deliberate course of action. Now, anybody working in a university environment would understand the need for that. Be flexible, have flexible resources that we could move around. Do the resources fit our business, or are they out of date? Have we got people, for instance, systems, IT systems, equipment, are they sustainable? And do they give us a competitive edge? One of the things that I loved, which was a quote that came out, don't try everything, don't have a shotgun approach, a focused approach is required. And almost in closing, Ben, just to say to you, this was a very, very interesting dilemma that we're asking students to research. And maybe at a later webinar, we could give you the outcome of this. I don't have the outcome at the moment. But the strategic question was, can your earnings or revenue be sustained in your business without growth? Now, that question arose because in South Africa at the moment, our GDP growth is less than 1%. So can we sustain our business if we don't grow? So most business models have been built on an assumption of growth. Companies are changing their models to get growth even when sales are anemic. And a key question, as I say, is how long can we sustain earnings growth without resolving and restoring revenue growth, and then take action. And then last one, guys, bottom line, in bad times, obsess over the top line. The accountants will enjoy that. Be distinct or you will be extinct as a small business. Simplify everything we do, make it personal, remove costs from the system. We have to understand that it all happens through people in small and medium-sized enterprise. And using a cricket analogy for some of my Middle Eastern colleagues and English colleagues, Ben, it's not a one-day game. This is a 5-day game. Ladies and gents, thank you for listening. I will remain on the line and look forward to your questions later on in the session. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ben.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark, for the great presentation. I will now be moving over to Qatar. So I'll be passing over to Boumediene Ramdani, who is from Qatar University. Boumediene, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ben. Can you see my slide okay?
Yeah, all good. Go back to presentation mode. All good. There you go.
Perfect. Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Boumediene Ramdani, and I am an associate professor of entrepreneurship and innovation at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence at Qatar University. What am I going to be speaking to you about today? I'd like, first of all, to thank Mark and Emmanuel for their very useful insights into how their business schools have been promoting entrepreneurship. I think in my side of the world, it's quite different. And it's quite different in a number of areas. And I would like to share some of our experience, which I believe will be helpful to some of the business schools in the region. So when I started thinking about this, when we spoke to Ben earlier this month, I was thinking of what are the ingredients that made us, as Qatar University and the College of Business and Economics within that, as a successful entity to promote entrepreneurship within our students here at Qatar University. So really, when I went through some of the things that I have been personally involved in with, there are a number of things that I think are, if you like to call them key successful factors or or key success factors, or for that matter, some of the ingredients that we have used to embed entrepreneurship in our courses, in our activities throughout the university. So here is the list, really. And I'm going to go through one by one to see what I could personally share in terms of what we have done and what are the things that have worked and things that we hope will work in the future. So starting off with, the College of Business and Economics is one of the colleges at Qatar University, really with around 5,000 students. We've got around 104 faculties, really focused on research mainly and research publications. You can see the number there for the 1 year. And also we've got a lot of research grants. But the College of Business and Economics had a mandate from the university, really. The mandate was, how can you help us as a university to embed entrepreneurship in everything that we do? Now, some of the context for everybody that is joining us. So Qatar, you all know us from the World Cup now, but really Qatar is a state that has thankfully a lot of resources, and those resources are from the hydrocarbon oil and gas industry. But the Qatar Vision 2030 is focused more on how to diversify that. How can we make, basically, to strip every academic terminology out of it, how can we make more entrepreneurs that do business in other sectors, right? So the mandate was, how can we create that knowledge-based economy that can help the country diversify away from oil and gas and look at other opportunities and build an entrepreneurship culture and mindset within the university that could help it prosper in the future. Now, part of that mandate was the university. So the university, to basically make sure that this vision is materialized, the university went on and said, okay, what are the things that we can do in terms of strategy to help enable the entrepreneurship and innovation strategy? Now, this transformational strategy from Qatar, as you can see, digital transformation and entrepreneurship and innovation were the axes that go through all our goals, from engagement to teaching and learning to research. So they made it an enabling access. And really, that helped the College of Business and Economics to make entrepreneurship as a pillar in all of our degrees. So we had faculty who have worked on our graduate attributes. As you can see, entrepreneurial is part of it. Now, if you are a student at Qatar University, in medicine for that matter, or in pharmacy, you've got to also be entrepreneurial. It's one of the skills and attributes that we look at. In that, we look at your creativity and innovation, we look at your collaborative management skills, interpersonal skills, as well as leadership. This also led us to also think about making entrepreneurial as one of the education excellence themes that we focus on here at QU, or Qatar University. So being entrepreneurial is part of our educational excellence themes, which run through every other college within Qatar University. So really, the Qatar University strategy had this entrepreneurial, entrepreneurial sentiment that said, okay, we've got the concept, how can we, or the strategy, how can we operationalize this strategy within the colleges and the business of the university. Now, starting off with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence, which is an entity, a research entity, which I am there as head of research and policy. We've expanded the portfolio. We said, okay, who's gonna, so the university said, okay, the College of Business and Economics teaches entrepreneurship, right? But also we've got an Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence, which also has a number of activities that could help embed entrepreneurship. Now, research and policy is there. We've got a lot of research outputs, white papers in entrepreneurship, helping businesses within Qatar to create that entrepreneurial mindset. We've also got a case study unit here, or hub, where we create case studies about entrepreneurs, successful stories that have happened within the past year or so. Finally, you've got the community engagement unit, which helps businesses, policymakers here in Qatar to create hackathons, maybe training programs, executive programs that could help people look at the world of business quite differently, and that's from an entrepreneurship perspective. So moving in nicely and swiftly, in expanding that portfolio, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence was mandated to help disseminate entrepreneurship, not only at the College of Business and Economics, but also in other colleges within the university. So we've been teaching entrepreneurship in pharmacy, College of Pharmacy, part of the health. We've been teaching entrepreneurship at the College of Engineering, which is an amazing experience, because there you've got the innovative minds, but how do you commercialize those is the question that we try and answer for most people here at the university. One of the ingredients that helped us also is we've had a minor in entrepreneurship and innovation. We said, okay, this minor could also be expanded, and anybody at the University of Qatar could actually do this minor and help themselves in creating businesses out of this. So you could be doing law as a degree, but then you have also the minor with its requirements, and you could do that, and you could have a law firm at the end of So really, this also is one of the ingredients that help us disseminate entrepreneurship throughout the university. Now, centrally, one of the activities that we've done is to create programs that are university-wide. So here is one of the modules that we created, UNIV 200, Innovation, Leadership, and Civic Engagement. Basically, a module that helps ignite, innovate, and inspire people to create their own businesses. Another module or course that we have created is Honors 202. So we've got an honors program here for the best students at the university. We call it Entrepreneurship, Launching an Innovative Business module. Really good module. We also teach design thinking here. I've taught in both programs here in the honors program. Really great way to say, okay, centrally, we've got some courses that could help university students from multidisciplines to be entrepreneurial and to help entrepreneurship culture disseminate across the university. So another very interesting ingredient is how do you create that entrepreneurship mindset? And this actually was part of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence, which says, okay, we've got to look at some of the activities that could help our students, not from the College of Business and Economics only, but from the whole university, that could come and help create businesses. So multidisciplinary businesses that could come out of engineering and business, or business and law, and so on and so forth. So we've said that actually to be able to do that across the university, and not only in the College of Business and Economics, we've got to, appoint champions, champions for entrepreneurship and innovation. And what we've done is we've actually appointed each champion from each college, and these champions were mandated to look at how they can help their students or their college as a whole, help the college to be more entrepreneurial. If there are any things that any businesses, they will be basically the point of call of any issues regarding entrepreneurship and innovation within their college. And they could actually contact us at the Center for Entrepreneurship or the College of Business and Economics, and we would give them the details or the helping hand that they need. One of the things that we've done also is to develop supportive material to all colleges, really. So I created the entrepreneurship education booklet for all colleges. It's accessible, the link is there, and people have been using this. And part of that was also developing some programs, online programs for our faculty to help them understand what entrepreneurship is all about. And what we've done, we've created this basic program called Entrepreneurial Education. People can go through it, but also we've created intermediate level 1, where the instructor looks at, changing mindsets, and you don't have to be stuck with career, but maybe be more entrepreneurial. And they have been very, very helpful programs for our faculty here at the University of Qatar. Now, some of the activities I'm just going to share with you in the last 5 minutes here, share with you some of the things that we have done, some of the things that have worked in terms of activities to ignite entrepreneurial spirit. So entrepreneurship could be a course, could be a minor degree, but really what we found out that entrepreneurship can also be a spirit, a culture, something that you could embed within the activities that you have at the university. And so what are the activities that we could do? And as you can see, we've got a few of those. So I'm going to share each one of those and tell you a bit more about what we're doing. So we've had an entrepreneurship education week. This week was an amazing week where we've brought all the experts in entrepreneurship and innovation in one place. And we've invited all faculty and students from all the university to attend those. And it was an amazing experience for most people. And it actually got us to understand what we are doing and how we can collaborate even further. One of the things we are doing as well is the annual contest in innovation and entrepreneurship. This annual contest is done for students. It's a collaboration between the College of Business and Economics and the College of Engineering. And it's an amazing event as well. It's a yearly one. Students could compete on a number of tracks: sustainability, sports, health, education. And they could get some money out of it as well. This money could be a seed fund for them to help create that business that they aspire to do. Another event, we've got some really good success stories as well. Some of the companies that have been created here at the College of Business and Economics in collaboration with the College of Engineering, really great businesses. These businesses we created here, but they get snapped up by a lot of incubators and investors outside of Qatar University. So we are very proud of these companies and they're doing amazingly well. Another key activity that we have embarked on last year is the Qatar Entrepreneurship Award. We do it with Hyperthink Systems, and it's an amazing award. We've got a number of categories, you know, the best startup of the year, best entrepreneur of the year, best woman entrepreneur of the year. All of these categories, actually, people compete with, so they can apply for each category, and we have the privilege of judging those companies and shortlisting them, and we make a big fuss out of it because people can meet in these events, network, and you know, make something out of it. So the last two activities that we are doing, I'd like to share with you that we've got a conference, a yearly conference happening on 17th to the 19th of October, Entrepreneurship and Sustainability Conference. This year, the theme is Tackling Grand Challenges for Sustainable Future. I'd like to see you all there, hopefully. But it's a great conference. We've got industry consortium as well as academics working in one place, helping to resolve grand challenges that we have today. Finally, the final slide that I'm going to share with you today is the Business Policy Forum. This I have created myself. It's a forum where we get academics, industry experts, and policymakers to sit in one table and discuss the current challenges that they have, create joint commercial research for joint commercial products, and help solve business problems that we have here in Qatar through entrepreneurship and innovation lenses. That's about it really from my side. If you'd like to get in touch, I'm really keen, so please do get in touch. Here's my email address, and I look forward to our future discussions. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Boumediene, for that fantastic presentation. We are now going to move on to our final presenter, Mohammed Roomi from MBSC Business Entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia. Mohammed, the floor is all yours. Are you just on mute, Mohammed?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Ben, for inviting me to talk on this forum. As far as I understand, the topic today is that how the schools can successfully promote entrepreneurship to students in the region. And I am representing Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship. So we were created with an idea of having an entrepreneurship school. Now, why there was a need of an entrepreneurship school where there were a number of business schools which were already teaching about entrepreneurship in the region, in the country, and then in the region and all over the world as well. This college was initiated in collaboration with Babson College USA here in the kingdom, and the reason was that the kingdom should be self-sufficient as far as creating knowledge on entrepreneurship is concerned. We realize that most of the business schools in the world, even in the developing countries, and this is the research of one of my mentors, Alan Gibb in the UK, are basically teaching entrepreneurship, no doubt about it. There is a dominant model. And the model was that every business school, they should have a course on entrepreneurship, and that entrepreneurship course should have management functions such as marketing, finance, HRD. There should be an emphasis on small business management. Sometimes there are corporate venturing and entrepreneurship modules in addition to that. So basically what business schools predominantly teaching in the world is the market model. Now, what is market model? Market model is that there are preset goals, there are expected returns, and they are only possible if there is competitive analysis and how to avoid surprises. That's what most of the business schools teaching. They were teaching in marketing, finance, human resource development, and all other subjects as well, plus a subject on entrepreneurship. Now, according to Howard Stevenson and Harvard Business School, entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond the resources currently controlled. Right. What does this mean? This means that being entrepreneurial means that there will be surprises. There are all kinds of surprises. Those surprises could be the global pressures. Those surprises could be the individual repositioning, organizational repositioning, or maybe state or society repositioning. There will be surprises. There's more. The greater there are the surprises, the greater there is uncertainty and complexity in the world, there's more need for an entrepreneurial solution, which means a unique solution. And that is entrepreneurship. That is entrepreneurial mindset. So if we are teaching entrepreneurship in business schools in a way that we are, let me show you something. I'm sure you can see a monster on the screen. I call it Frankenstein. That there is, can you see the screen, Ben?
Yep, we can see it. If you put it in presentation mode as well, we'll make it a little bit bigger.
Okay. So if you see this, you can see that there is a Frankenstein. It's the dominant model. That's how business schools teaching entrepreneurship. What are they doing? That they're saying there is a heroic heart, there is a business plan gut. Yes, business focus, myopic, new venture creation, growth arms. There's a functional arms, which means that marketing, finance, human resource development, some knowledge ingestion, corporate venture legs, which means that there can be entrepreneurship in corporations as well. And then there's a lot of emphasis on small business development. So predominantly, that's how entrepreneurship is being taught in most of the business schools of the world, and most of the academic books. If you just go through them, you will find out that this is what they are doing. And that's what most of the academic books are also teaching or propagating as well. Fair enough. So is this enough? Is business actually being entrepreneurial means running a business? And if it is even running a business, businesses are not run, or entrepreneurial ideas are not generated without living the life world, which means what you are doing, what you are thinking, feeling, organizing, communicating, learning, unlearning, all these things are basically part and parcel of being entrepreneurial. And the question is, are we teaching this in business schools? A lot of people have done research, and the answer is not predominantly. This is not what we are doing. Students, especially business students or other faculty students, they are unable to live the life world of entrepreneurship, which means that, yes, we are teaching about entrepreneurship, but we are not teaching for entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is a real world, but you have to go there and you have to live the life. And I repeat, you have to live the life by doing things, by thinking, feeling, organizing, communicating, learning and unlearning things. That's what being entrepreneurial is. I personally know a number of business schools who started entrepreneurship degrees, masters in entrepreneurship and innovation. A number of students joined it as well, but it could not be successful. Some of them are still successful, people are coming there. But actually, what are we teaching them? Can we teach entrepreneurship by teaching about entrepreneurship? And that was the question which we wanted to answer here at MBSC as well. We thought about it that entrepreneurship cannot be taught, but entrepreneurial mindset can be generated, created, made. So once you want to do that, you have to look into the real life world of an entrepreneur as well. So what is the real life world of an entrepreneur? Yes, there is a need for a know-how of doing different functions of a business or thinking differently, uniquely, independently, but at the same time, there is a need for know-who as well. Because social capital, in addition to financial capital and human capital, plays a huge role in the development and growth of entrepreneurial ventures and entrepreneurial mindset as well. So there is a need to know, there should be know-how, and there should be know-who and know from as far as entrepreneurial ventures are concerned, or entrepreneurial mindset is concerned. In the real life world, entrepreneurs make mistakes. They either learn from those mistakes, or sometimes they don't learn from their mistakes and they make mistakes again. They seize opportunities, the opportunities which are in uncertainty and complexity. They solve problems, they do things. Sometimes they copy things. There are so many entrepreneurial ventures where people have copied maybe ideas, maybe the ways people have been doing things in different parts of the world, and they have started doing it in their part of the world, and that's how they have been successful. So if you look at it from this angle, that entrepreneurship cannot be just taught the way we have been different other subjects, because we have been teaching about other subjects. Entrepreneurship is practical, hands-on. Even if you are talking about entrepreneurial mindset, where people have to think differently, they have to actually do it in reality. It's not something which can be taught about. The business schools, they have been teaching top-down. What is top-down? That you have knowledge or concept input, there's a testable learning, search for behavioral application maybe, search for relevance to organization change and their needs, search for the link to the performance, academic mental maps, emotionally neutral, and that's how business schools were teaching different subjects. But if you look at entrepreneurship, it's bottom up. The first need for an entrepreneur is the performance. You have to show the performance. You have to manage change. That is business development. You have to do behavioral change as well. You have to learn by doing, because the things which you have learned in the past, they might not be applicable when you have created something new, something different, something unique, which was not there before. So you have to unlearn the things which you have learned before, and you have to learn new things by doing things, which means that there should be a tacit knowledge acquisition. There will be heuristical and mental maps, and maybe you have to be emotionally charged as well. There's a huge role of emotional intelligence. There's a huge role of empathy. There's a huge role of social recognition, the social awareness. So all these things have been different for what business schools have been doing for a number of years. Not only in the developing world, but in the developed world as well. Even in the USA, which is one of the highest entrepreneurial countries. Even in the UK, in Europe, business schools have been teaching top down, as I told you earlier. So if we have to teach bottom up all those things, starting with performance and managing change and managing behavior, changing behavior and learning by doing and unlearning the things, then there should be some other model. That's what we realized. We said, there is a need for something which needs to be changed. And let me show you what we came up with. If I show you, this is what we came up with. That this is the learning model. And if you look at it, this is an alternative model. And that model we have been applying for the last 7 years now, since the inception of Prince Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship here in Saudi Arabia. If you look at it, emotional intelligence is very important. We need to let our students know that how they can use their emotions, how they can be self-aware, and they are aware of the situation, aware of the environment, so that whenever there is a change happening, whenever there is a complexity, uncertainty, they can respond accordingly. There should be a rich growth of entrepreneurial attributes, which have not been taught in business schools before. Attributes, like how they have to be creative and innovative, how they have to show perseverance. So they have to have a vision and feel for way of life, actual way of life, how things are happening. And when things are happening, they are happening on the basis of trust. All kind of stakeholders, all kind of teams, you are working in those teams, you are buying things, you are selling things on the basis of trust. So we emphasize on it that do our students know that how to build trust, how to build relationship? It is not only important that know what and how, but it is also important know who, because those relationships are going to play a huge role. So know how, know who, these are two basic arms which we think that should be there in entrepreneurial mindset-oriented students. And then we also looked at the intuitive gut. Like, yes, business plans were important and business plans were there and they are still there and they have their importance, but they can be made up. Like you ask me to make a business plan, I can give any kind of figure, any kind of projections. Unless I don't go into the field, those business plans are useless. But minimum viable product is the new thing. Yes, you have to come up with an idea, you have to actually do it. But when you are doing all these things, what are the values you are banking upon? My friend from Qatar, Dr. Ramdani, talked about sustainability in business. So yes, sustainability will only come if entrepreneurs have certain values. So are we teaching, are we talking about those values in the classroom? Entrepreneurial management in different contexts. Are we talking about this? So we came up a different alternative model of teaching entrepreneurship. And we said, entrepreneurship cannot be taught by just one module or a couple of modules. Entrepreneurship can be taught only if we put them in the real life situation. Okay. So we said, yes, come do an MBA, but during that MBA, there will be an MBA long course, which we call Signature Learning Experience. So if you come to our college and you want to, because you want to have an entrepreneurial mindset, and we totally understand that entrepreneurial mindset doesn't mean that you will be running your own business or starting your own business. We recognize that you might be hired by corporations, big corporations like Aramco or SABIC or STC in our case in Saudi Arabia, but still you can show entrepreneurial mindset. Still you can work in an entrepreneurial manner. And there is a possibility that you are working with Ministry of Culture or Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Interior, but still you can show entrepreneurial mindset as well. Fair enough. So we said, you have to choose. Either you can start a business of your own, or you can grow a business of your own if you have already been working on your business. Or if you are working in the private or public sector, then you can be a corporate entrepreneur. You can come up with a problem or issue or a challenge which you are facing at your work, or you can look at an opportunity and you seize that opportunity. So now you come and you start your journey, which is a master's in business administration journey, but we will emphasize on entrepreneurial mindset. So whatever you learn, if you are learning marketing, so you are applying that marketing knowledge on the real life project. Either you're starting your business, growing your business, or you are working in the corporate sector or the public sector. You think about the problem and issue and challenge, or an opportunity which is there in your department, but it has not been seized upon. This is your project. Now, if you're learning marketing, you're applying that knowledge on your project. If you're learning finance, you are applying that project on or knowledge on your project. And so on and so forth, all the subjects, whether it's supply chain management and human resource development or any other subjects, accounting or finance and others. So actually you are learning. And while you are learning in the classroom, you are applying it on your real life project. And there are exams for that as well. And there is evaluation and assessment for that as well, that whether you have learned it properly and whether you have applied it effectively and efficiently or not. And that is the way we have been training or equipping our students for the globalized world of uncertainty and complexity. That's how we have been training them for the last 6-7 years. And during that period, we have more than 100 new startups, and we have helped to grow more than 200 existing businesses. And similarly, 200 or so projects we have done already for corporate world or public sector world as well. So which is practical, hands-on, which has, it is a we say that we are not giving knowledge. We are actually creating knowledge. We are actually creating the real local knowledge. Yes, we are learning from the examples from all over the world as well. But the real thing is that how you apply it to the social, economic, political situation of the environment and the context where you are actually living. So we think that entrepreneurship is actually the way of life, and students should have a vision and feel of the way of life. And that's what we have been trying to do here at Prince Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship for the last 6 odd year or so. This year, we had 350 students. And next year, we are expecting even more because applications are already coming in. And we can clearly see that we started from 0 6 years ago. And we have come a long way. It took us some time, but now students are realizing that how we are different, how we are actually creating people to go into the real life world, build trust with stakeholders. They should have capacity for experiential ingestion. They should have holistic management capability and capacity. And while they are doing all this, they should be able to manage entrepreneurially in different contexts where they are harvesting new ideas, whether it is those are for the starting of their own businesses or working in corporations or public sector, where they can evaluate things entrepreneurially, where they can deal with the globalized world of complexity and uncertainty. I hope I am able to explain a few things for you, but if you want to learn more about MBSC and the programs which we are doing, it's very simple. mbsc.edu.sa. In Saudi Arabia, the name of the college is MBSC. You can Google it and you will find out that how we are trying to change the entrepreneurial landscape of Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much. Ben, over to you.
Amazing, Mohammed Roomi. Thank you so much for that presentation. And now we've concluded all 4 presentations. We're going to open up now to questions and answers. So feel free to put your questions in either the chat box or the Q&A box, and all the panel members will now look to answer them. Okay, so we've had a few trickle in during the presentation. So the first question is to yourself, Emmanuel Okoye. So somebody is asking about the students coming through your entrepreneurship and apprenticeship scheme or system. Are these students or people, the apprentices, are they coming directly from your school, or is it for all people of that age in the region and then they can just apply to become an apprentice? So essentially, where are they coming from, the apprentices? So if you could unmute your mic, please, Emmanuel.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, not just our students. Yes, some of them are students, but mostly from the locality, from the region.
Yep.
We do a kind of selection. We have a panel that do that selection, and we try to get people who are interested in the training. And so we bring them in and then train them. And also government is interested, so we use government machinery as well. Ministry of Youth Empowerment or Youth Development. We work in partnership with Ministry of Youth Development, and we try to do a selection that will be well spread so that the entire region, especially the state in particular, Anambra, we reach out to the entire state, try to get people. That state has about 21 local government areas. So we try to ensure that people are selected from every local government, so that at the end of it, it will be well spread, and every local government will get a feeling of it, and the impact will be, will reach to every nook and cranny. And also it will help us to get the number we want, because actually we are planning that before the end of tenure of the governor, we'll be able to like the first set, like I said before, is 5,000. After the 5,000, we are hoping to also train more people up to 80,000 as it were. So it's not something you localize. It's something you have to spread and get people who are interested. But we don't just pick people from the streets. We have a panel that do the selection, and yeah, that's how we got interested. And we make sure that they are interested, not just picking people anyhow. The people that have the passion, who are interested in what we are doing, we pick them, we train them, we empower them with the help of the government. Thank you.
Amazing. And so you're talking about how the government helping with the apprenticeship schemes, but how else are your local government and government for everyone in this panel, how are they helping with students or apprenticeships starting their own businesses? So this is one question, talking how about for entrepreneurship, it rests on the ability to be forward-looking, and this requires strong property laws, low corruption, access to capital, and appropriate workforces. So what are this question to all of you, what are your schools doing in order to engage with the government to, help students to start their own business?
Ben, maybe I can give,
yeah,
do you want me to give that a go, Ben, just very quickly? So great question. That's from Victor. So Victor, I think firstly, government and universities in South Africa have quite a strong partnership, and they've realized that some of our policies of the past haven't worked. So there is a strong view to develop things like incubators and some of the courses that my colleagues have spoken about. So I think governments generally are under-resourced and don't have enough resources to do what is required. I think we need to rely more on the banks, and that's probably our big weakness in South Africa, that banks talk a great game about supporting entrepreneurs and don't. And then we really need to develop a better venture capital type system where people would engage with businesses and fund them. So I think the government side of things is working well, Ben. I think we have things like small enterprise development agencies, small enterprise funding agencies. There is a bit of a shortage of really good ideas, well developed, and I think universities can help with that, such as Mohammed's programs that he speak about sound like it would help with that a lot. So I hope that helps. And Ben, just very quickly before I hand over to the other presenters, one of your colleagues, it does sound like a South African name, Donzi from the development agency, says at the end, we can't keep on studying the general knowledge in honors and master's level, gentlemen. And I think every one of your panel today, Ben, would agree with that. You can't keep doing what you've done, expecting a different outcome. There is a strong view that we need to have more practical academic education in South Africa. Thanks, Ben. Back to you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments on that and how they're working with their governments in the local regions to help students start their business?
Thank you, Ben. At Qatar, or the Qatari government here has a number of resources that have actually injected a lot of cash into small businesses and startups. So the ecosystem is, of course, the universities that we've got here. You've got Qatar University as the national university, but you've got Qatar Foundation with a number of other universities like HEC Paris and others that do similar activities. Now, there is a lot of investment when it comes to the programs that are here on offer for students, but also you've got the funding agencies, you've got Doha Tech Angels, you've got a lot of family businesses that inject a lot of cash into great ideas here, but also you've got the likes of QSTP, Qatar Science and Technology Park, and DIC, Digital Innovation Center here at the Ministry of Commerce. All of those have a number of programs. You know, we've got a number of hackathons and programs that I personally engage in and deliver some of the courses there. But government here is so keen to create this dynamic ecosystem that helps ignite innovation amongst people, but also create new businesses, new startups, and we can see that happening as we speak. Yes.
Yes, Ben, if I may add Saudi Arabian perspective into that, if you allow me, very quickly. There is a study called Global Entrepreneurship Monitor Report. And Saudi Arabia started being part of that global GEM report in 2016-17. We were in 70s as far as entrepreneurial ecosystem was concerned globally. This year, we are number 2 in the world. So in 6 years, we have leapfrogged. The number of things have been done. Government is putting a lot of effort. The resources have been allocated for that. There is a lot of entrepreneurship education, not only in college and university level, but also at the school level as well. Media is talking about it. A number of initiatives have been created by the government. Number of policies have been changed by the government. So, and entrepreneurial ecosystem has gained a lot because of that. So yes, in Saudi Arabia, a lot of efforts have been doing as well. There is another question, Ben, if you allow me. Dr. Ignatius Odongo has asked a question about entrepreneurial competency framework, and he is talking about entrepreneurial competency model, that what is happening in this regard in Saudi Arabia. So yes, there is a small and medium enterprise development agency, which is called Munshaat here in the kingdom, which has been doing a lot of work for the establishment and development of entrepreneurial ventures. And they have done a lot of work on entrepreneurial competency model, and they are trying their best with their activity, with the policies of the government, so that the entrepreneurial competency can be increased among the youth of Saudi Arabia. So if you want to know more, Dr. Odongo, about it, then you can visit Munshaat website, which is small and medium enterprise development agency here in Saudi Arabia. And if you need some help, I can help you as well. My email is there in the chat box as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you. Emmanuel Okoye, do you have any comments to say on working with governments to help students to start their own businesses?
Yeah, I think I've said part of it. And in Nigeria, generally, government is insisting that every institution must mount entrepreneurship as part of their program. Every student must pass through it at undergraduate program. And you have to acquire a skill, as it were, so that you don't just depend on maybe the course you have read. With the skill, you can become whatever in life. Your first degree could be a foundation for you, so that it will be that you've gone to university, but you mustn't practice what you read. What you acquired through the entrepreneurial program can help you to become whatever God wants you to be in life. So, and again, through education tax, whereby businesses are taxed just to ensure that money is raised to, help young people acquire skill via that fund and other funds that are made available, and grants that are, initiated by some international and local organizations. And again, like in business school, you see some people giving us grants to do one thing or the other. Recently, somebody gave us about 100 million, naira, which is quite more than 10,000, more than $10. It's quite a huge sum. Okay, more than $20,000 as it were. And these things are there to help the institution and some other people, donating some dollars of naira to us to ensure that our programs are moving. So government is doing a lot. Government is doing a lot, especially at the federal level and then at our regional level, because we are trained to be entrepreneurs in the southeast of Nigeria. You discover that government do a lot to encourage the young people and students. Okay, they even have what they call that. They even give stipends to students, either on monthly or semester basis, just to encourage them. So all these efforts are there for skills development and other things. All these things are there just to ensure that the students are not discouraged because of the hardship that is global anyway. It's not made in Nigeria, it's global. Like when Matt was making his presentation, he laid emphasis on it, the growth rate, GDP growth rate in South Africa, less than 1% or thereabouts. So it's global, it's everywhere. But government tries to cushion the effect by making some provisions here and there, and also involving some millionaires and billionaires, so part of their money is also, put in the educational sector to make sure that we have enough so that young people who are interested in entrepreneurs are really helped. We have also what we call BOI, Bank of Industry. Once you have a good project, you'll be given enough money to start off as it were, and that you have to defend it. It has to be, the bank has to make sure that the project will thrive, and and once you're able to prove a point that that the project is worth doing, worth getting into, the Bank of Industry will give you, support. And for years, you are not expected to service the loan, kind of moratorium. You'll be given time to start off and embark on the business for some years before you begin to now pay back. And the interest rate is, drastically reduced. It's nothing to write home about, because their concern is to grow your business. It's to grow your business. Once you have shown interest that you have something to offer, government will give you support. There are some individuals that have foundations, okay? They have foundations, and once you're able to show that you have something to offer, that you have acquired a skill and you are interested in, enter into a big business, starting from the small scale, you have to pass through their system, because you have to be scrutinized. After the scrutiny, and they are satisfied that you have something to offer, money will be released to you. Some of them free of charge. It's not even a loan, it's a grant, it's a support. And so many people have benefited from it and are doing well. So in the Southeast, some of these things are there. Once you are ready, to make yourself available and to prove a point that you have something to offer or that you have acquired a skill, then help will come. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. And have you noticed, because you're saying about how banks provide grants to some of your students or entrepreneurs, have you seen an increase in open banking, whereby there's businesses around the world who are able to send money to a startup, transaction free over the phone using M-Pesa and other companies? Are you seeing influx of money coming from other areas around the world to help startups in your country?
To an extent, yes. You mean outside the country?
Yeah.
Yeah, those in diaspora also are sending in money to support. Then we have, Elumeru Foundation, the Tony Elumeru Foundation also, and even Bill Gates also is giving his own support, as it were. But more importantly, those living in diaspora, are also giving huge support indeed. They are sending money back to the country to support the youth and the governance as well.
Perfect. Amazing. And on the topic of speaking, about business schools and entrepreneurship, do you think or see the benefit of collaborating with other institutions around, the country or the region to promote entrepreneurship to your students?
Yeah. We are doing that already. We collaborate with Chamber of Commerce, Onitsha Chamber of Commerce in the Southeast Nigeria, and we also collaborate with AfriHub and so many other, institutions to make sure that we borrow knowledge from each other and to develop use skills. So we do that. We collaborate a lot, and it has helped us tremendously. We also collaborate with government establishments, and we do that, and other faculties of different institutions who are also in what we are doing. And we are doing a mentoring work here a lot. We are trying to mentor some other institutions. Recently, one university came from the southwest, and then one from the same southeast, asking for our support and our mentoring, because they want to also start their own business school, and we also try to help them to do that. So we are doing a lot to ensure that, because we don't want to restrict it to ourselves, and we want to spread it, because when you have more hands, you discover that more people will be helped, because that's our passion. That's our passion. We want young people, students and youth around to discover themselves, the potentials in them, and start making use of those potentials, rather than allowing the thing to perish just like that. So we are working with others to ensure, even individuals, organizations, they come around, and we partner with them. Once we are satisfied that you are honest and you have something to offer, we are ready to partner with you. We do it a lot. That's why we're always here and there trying to partner with people. Yeah.
Thank you. And the question to the rest of the panelists are, do you have any other collaborations or examples of good collaborations with other business schools to promote entrepreneurship to your students?
Ben, can I take that one? Because I saw that one being one of the ones that I could address. The short answer is yes. There are many European and US business schools that are much better resourced than we are in Africa. The colleague who asked the question was from Angola, Portuguese-speaking nation. And one of the things that they would need to look for, and then maybe your organization can put them in touch with European or American institutions, or maybe from the Middle East, but we don't have so many of those operating here. But that is the route to go. I would recommend it then I think that was from Hani, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it would be a good idea. And then Ben, if I may, there were two related questions about entrepreneurship at schools. And Mohammed has addressed the one about the person who's doing a postdoc study in South Africa and asking in Saudi, do they have a schools model? But I personally feel very strongly that we need to bring it into the level before students finish their leaving certificate, matriculation, leave school. I don't think it's a great idea to wait. I think it's too late. Although that's what all of us are doing. I think we should be bringing it back a few years and bringing it into the school level. So yeah, that was to
Yeah.
answer those two questions.
Definitely, Mark, because you're almost saying you want to plant the seed early to develop the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
mindset, which is what Mohammed was talking about quite a lot. And talking about the mindset and how, you know, there could be a change or a shift in how we teach entrepreneurship. And especially going to, like in Nigeria, where they do apprenticeships or mentoring. Do you see in the future whereby instead of just classroom approach of teaching entrepreneurship, in the future, students will be paired with a mentor one-on-one or just do an apprenticeship in order to actually have the real life version of real life education of entrepreneurship? That's a question to anyone, of course.
Yeah, as far as mentorship is concerned, we are already doing it. But mentorship standalone does not make any sense when you are doing entrepreneurship teaching and entrepreneurship training. Because entrepreneurship training is when you are actually doing it, you are feeling the real life. I know I am repeating myself, but the feeling and doing is very important. And once you are doing it, then you need somebody who can help you in guiding you, in letting you know that how not to do more mistakes, because in real life you will commit mistakes, but less mistakes. That's what a mentor's role can be, where he can guide you through the job. And yes, it is a wonderful idea.
And Ben, if I may add to Mohammed's comment, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it has to be a dual strategy, that the mentorship program goes along with a entrepreneurial development program. And that doesn't have to be a formal part of it. You could find your own mentor in your own community who understands the environment that you're working in. That seems to, that kind of seems to be best practice.
Yeah, definitely. So like with the mentoring being helping them, you know, through some different processes, I guess an apprenticeship would give them the real life experience whereby they would work, you know, hands-on in a company. And that's coupled with education to learn the foundations of entrepreneurship should in the future make these students the best entrepreneurs they can be.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because there were examples of developing mindsets that you talked about, Mohammed, but does anyone have any other ways of, you know, really good initiatives to develop that mindset of entrepreneurship?
Can I come in? Well, with regard to mindset, I think here at Qatar University, we faced a challenge at the beginning when we instilled entrepreneurship as part of every program that we have at the university. So there were a lot of people who did not understand what entrepreneurship is. So we had to actually go in as keynote speakers to most of the colleges, trying to give them some understanding of what it is to be an entrepreneur, you know, as a key change agent, you know, rather than so there are a lot of social problems that we have, a lot of global problems that we have. So we've started with that. But then when we created this initiative of champions within the university, people who are so keen in creating new businesses, solving problems, creating new initiatives, you know, we implanted those champions around the university, and they were the point of contact for every student who has an idea, who wants to create a business, who wants to you know, changing the culture from you know, having a public job, you know, guaranteed good salary, you know, to an entrepreneur taking risk and being. It's a cultural change that I think we are still embarking on. And, you know, the activities that we are making here and there, business policy forum, you know, conference, the international conference that we have, you know, keynote speeches from people who come from the industry, and, you know, they come with their experiences and share with our students as mentors, is all, you know, part of this, you know, creating a new mindset for students here at the university.
Okay. Again, Ben,
Yeah,
in addition to what Manu just said, and I think if we are talking about mindsets, we have to start early. You know, at times we wait until we get to university before we start training young people on entrepreneurship. We have to start from the basic, right from primary school, secondary school, post-primary school, you know, start early to, you know, teach about that, at least teaching, and also at the secondary school level, you bring about, like what he rightly said, some of these people that are known entrepreneurs, let them address the people, encourage them, motivate them, so that they will start early enough to have that desire in them to become entrepreneurs. We don't need to wait until the person gets to university. You know, the person is already made, already formed. You know, but if we start early enough and it becomes part of our curriculum, you know, it will go a long way to help us. By the time the person is getting to tertiary institution, it's already made up here. To him, he's not here to package himself to be employed, but for him to be an employer, because he have started early to stir up the person, to prepare the person towards that direction. So that would be, the person will now have the mindset that I'm just here to prepare myself to, you know, to broaden my knowledge of the skill I've acquired and then get into practice, or, you know, and that will reduce drastically. When Peters was making his presentation, he was telling us that about either 40% of the youth are unemployed. But if we are able to start this early enough, the youth will not be waiting for government or private sector to employ them. They will be employers themselves. By the time you are graduating, you have already established something. We have a lot of them here, people that have already established a lot of things before graduation because of the motivation, because of the way they were brought up. So I think we need to start early, not just waiting until we get to tertiary institution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. If you allow me, I would like to add something to Dr. Ramdani. Societal attitude, perceptions, environment, a lot of things have to play a role as far as entrepreneurial mindset development is concerned. So if we think that we can change the entrepreneurial mindset in a class or in a degree course, it is almost, it is difficult. So there are a lot of other elements which has to play a role in it as well. No doubt, a university or a place of education play a huge role. And I totally agree with our friends from Nigeria that it has to start as early as possible. And there are a lot of places in the world where at the school education, now entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurial mindset change is has been started. Thank you, Ben.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we have one more question and just enough time for one more question. So this is a question for yourself, Boumediene. The question is, we have witnessed important parts of Qatar 2030 vision implemented during the host of the World Cup, attracting entrepreneurs to launch new businesses in Qatar. However, at the end of this tournament, what would be your advice to those entrepreneurs to sustain those businesses, and how is CEOE supporting in that?
Absolutely. I mean, with the World Cup has been a life-changing moment for Qatar. You know, we've had a number of businesses that were created out of this major mega event, and we are so. I mean, part of our ecosystem is, of course, the industry experts that we have within the Center for Entrepreneurship and Organizational Excellence, as well as the academics and policymakers who are part of that umbrella that helps businesses sustain. And if there are businesses that are facing difficulties in any way or form, I urge them to contact us immediately and contact me personally. to direct them to the right agencies within the country to help sustain their businesses. But I mean, in terms of success stories, we've got a number, and you know, now the sports industry. One of my MBA students is creating a consultancy out of this. You know, event management companies just send me documents about it as we speak. There are a number of businesses that have emerged out of this mega event, and we hope to sustain that momentum, because this sports industry is a great industry here in Qatar, and we are cultivating, you know, the like of beIN and other businesses that have made their presence in here and around the world. So we look forward to nourishing this industry within the country.
Definitely. Thank you, Boumediene. Okay, so that's it for the questions. There's no more questions to be answered, so we can conclude today's webinar. So first of all, I'd like to thank all of you, the speakers, for presenting such fantastic presentations, and thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. And if you have missed it or had to drop out early, which I know a few people had to, the recording will be made available on our website in the coming weeks.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day now.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, everybody.